You! Yeah, oh my gosh. Okay, well, I'll give a little bit. Mom was born in Zurich and grew up on the farm. The girls will say they were raised in the country and the boys were raised in the city, and that's the difference between the girls and the boys.
Zurich where?
Zurich, Montana. Oh, not Switzerland. No, and they talk about hoeing beets. Mom started being an organist when she was 12 years old on an old pump organ. She was just released from being a church organist in the last few years. We figured she was a church organist for over 70 years. So that's just a little fact about her. She was a school teacher. There's a lot of teachers here. She was a teacher, first and second grade. She also worked at Faults ID and Weight Watchers for over 25 years. So she's a lifelong member of Weight Watchers. She worked there until she was 88 years old. Okay, I'll turn it over to Jolie.
Okay. Okay, can you hear me in the back? Chris, are we okay? Good. All right, how do you talk about your mom? One time, my mom called and said, well, in Relief Society, they want us to talk about a quality that we have. So I thought, well, I'd ask you kids. And so the thing that came to my mind about my mom was her faith. She's always lived true to principles and stood by them. And we've known that she is just a constant, like a North Star in our lives. And I'm so grateful for that. She has been mentioned, she's given us the gift of music. And that kind of, I think, comes down through certain DNA. It's gone on down to my kids, and I have such an appreciation of music because of my mother. And so those are two things, her faithfulness and her love of music, that have been just a constant in our lives. Thank you.
Okay, when Deanne asked me to do this, and I thought about Mom growing up, she's always been a worker, never an idle moment. And I remember hearing the stories of when Grandma and Grandpa took, was it Theron or Carol Ann? They left you older girls to take care of everything, to bake the bread and to make the things and do the chores, and you had bed bugs, and you had to take the mattresses out and burn them. I don't know what you slept on after that. But is that the right story, Mom? Yeah. So at around 13 years.
Well, I'm going to juggle on myself. Take a picture. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Dad and Mom being Grandma and Grandpa.
Yeah, heard that. Grandma and Grandpa were gone. And baking the bread, the whole thing. We enjoyed the fruits of that because every week she would bake bread. And 2 loaves would be gone the instant they came out of the oven. That's one of her legacies. Just that work ethic and canning food, baking pies, just sewing clothes, all of those things. She was never idle a moment. And then it's been mentioned the music that she passed down to all of us. And that comes through the the Williams ancestry from Iona. One of her grandmothers was classically trained in piano and gave lessons, and so we can kind of go a little ways back on our music, and it certainly has come through Mom, and something that for me has been a special gift. And when I was growing up, I played the violin, and Mom was always there to accompany me at hours and hours and hours of help. And when I went off to college and I had to get a different accompanist, I thought, what is this? You don't know how to feel music like I do. You don't know how to follow me. You don't know how to accompany. I've been spoiled rotten by my mom. So I think that some of those legacies that our work and our music.
today as I pass to Drew, there's one thing that I realized I forgot that I have to say. And one of the reasons that we know so many of you is my mom and dad's home was always open. You could always...
That's what I was going to say.
Sorry. You could always come to our home, and it wasn't just a place to sleep. You got a really good homemade meal. And so what it did, the byproduct of that is we gained an appreciation of our family through the people that would come, because Mom always had an open home. And that's a tremendous legacy, and we have to thank her for that. Neil.
Let me just add that my eyes got opened in visiting their home by hanging out with Drew, because I got exposed to a lot of things that I was never exposed to as a young man.
Drop the mic.
Fill me in. Let me. What in the world could I have taught you that you didn't already know? So anyway, I was going to mention the same things that Jolene said, that our home was a stopover for many people. And I remember the gift that Mom gave me was the fact that our home was open. And we had many, many people come and stay with us. And I've tried to carry that tradition on in our home. So I love it when people come. It's a joy and a wonder to me when people come. I just get so excited. Imagine me getting excited, but I get really excited to have people come and stay with us. It's a highlight for my family, my kids, and my kids know that our door's open. And I think my dad used to drag people in from who knows where. He may have seen a hitchhiker on the road and offered him to come and have a meal and stay with us. And I think this obviously was before the day of cell phones, and he may have just showed up in the garage and walked in and said, here's a guest that we're going to have for the evening. So my dad would love to bring people in. My mother was always very accommodating. And another story for any of us that may know our family well, I think many of those who know us well would say that Bruce is Mother's son and I am my father's son. And Mom and I didn't always see eye to eye growing up. I remember even as a young child, she'd be sewing at her sewing machine. I'd want to have a quarter or 50 cents to go down to this convenience store and buy some candy, and she'd say no. And I'd fight back, and she'd say no, and she'd just continue sewing, wouldn't pay any attention to me. I grabbed her scissors, and I said, Mom, if you don't give me 50 cents, let me go to the store right now. I'll kill myself right now. She said, just don't make a mess. Yeah. So it's wonderful that my mom could be so calm with such a fart in a skillet kid like me. And I do remember when my dad passed away some 25 and a half years ago. I do remember, and I hate to admit it, but I want to. True confession is real good for the soul. I remember one of the church leaders that was, he was one of the ones that was running the funeral. He was presiding over the funeral, would talk to me, and he said, now, this will be a wonderful time for you to get very close to your mom. And I shamefully admit that I don't want to. She doesn't like me. You don't understand. But I've been so grateful to have a wonderful relationship, at least since then, with my mom. And I'm just so grateful that she's my mother, and she's been able to put up with many shenanigans that I've pulled on her. And I like to think that I add some sense of humor to the home. But again, I just am so grateful for the upbringing that I have, and the love that we all share. And just the strange thing, can I ask all of you, is it really weird that we are them? Remember when we came to this when we were kids? Grandma and Grandpa were up there. We're them now. We are them. We have kids. We have grandkids. It's odd to see the generations pass. But with that passing of generations, there's so much love and care for each other in the family, and I just appreciate that.
Sorry, I hope you don't do the same as me, but I just have to say this, being up here and starting to looking up and down. I will never forget when Jay came to our house after being in Vietnam. And he walked in the door dressed in full uniform, and I'd never seen anything like that before. And it just made such a very distinct impression on me. And I know he's not able to be here, but I wanted you to know that that's a memory before you were ever thought of. And how handsome, and seeing this picture that you've brought has been wonderful. And then for a while, Dwayne came and lived with us, and we tortured him, but he survived us. So that's why we feel really, really close to him.
Dwayne, not Dwayne.
I said Dwayne. I think, how's your hearing? Sorry.
Well, the second in the birth order is Anita.